Dear students, welcome back to the Nimpress Secondary School online YouTube class. Today, we are going to discuss about the last revolution in the first chapter, the revolutions that influenced the world. The last revolution, it was the Chinese Revolution. In this chapter, it was Chinese Revolution. We know that the China, it is the third largest country in the world by area. By calculating the area, the China is the third largest country, and we know that China is the most populous country in the world, the largest population country in the world. We previously discussed about the China in 9th standard, the medieval period of China. The China is ruled by the some of the dynasties we are previously discussed. The first dynasty we know that the Tang dynasty and Song dynasty. After that Tang dynasty, China is ruled by the Song dynasty. After the Song dynasty, China is ruled by the Ming dynasty. The last dynasty, it was the Manchu dynasty. Manchu dynasty. In this revolution, in the starting of 20th century, the revolution is happened in the 20th century. We are discussing the monarchy or the autocratic rule by the rulers in the China. It was the Manchu dynasty. The China is ruled under the dynasty. It was Manchu dynasty. Okay, the Chinese Revolution. We know that it started in the century. It will the 20th century. The Chinese Revolution in the 20th century, China witnessed some of the revolutions against the foreign rule and the monarchy. We know that foreign rule, it was the meaning of some of the countries outside the countries, the foreign countries, they interfere in the China. It was the some of the policies adopted in China. This was the foreign rule. And next was monarchy. Monarchy, it was the, we know that in 20th century the China is ruled by the Manchu dynasty. It was an autocratic rulers. The Manchu dynasty, they were the autocrators. So in the 20th century, the first point, it was the in the 20th century, China witnessed some revolutions against foreign rule and monarchy. It was the main point, foreign rule and monarchy. China witnessed some of the foreign rule and monarchy. And we know that the foreign countries, the foreign powers, it was the Europe and America, they adopted some of different methods to get domination over China. They adopted some of some policies, some different methods in China to get a domination over the China. It was the opium trade, one of the important policy. It was the opium trade. Opium trade, and the next policy, that was the open door policy. The opium trade, it was a policy implemented by the Europe in China, opium trade, and the open door policy, it was implemented by America in China. Okay, but these are the main reason behind the revolution, Chinese Revolution. In the 20th century, China witnessed some revolution against the foreign rule and monarchy. At that time, China is ruled by the Manchu dynasty. We know that the Europe and America adopted from different methods to get domination over China. That methods are, that policies are, the first one, opium trade and open door policy. Okay, now we are looking what is opium trade and what is the open door policy. Okay. The European traders, the Europeans, they implemented a policy in China. It was the opium trade. Okay, now look up the what is opium trade. Opium trade, we know that the Chinese silk, tea, and earthenware were in great demand all over the Europe. The Chinese silk, tea, and earthenware were in great demand in all over the Europe. By the demand, we know that the China exported these items to Europe and they gained a much profit in the trade. The China gained much profit in this trade by silk, tea, earthenware exported to Europe. But nothing was to import into China from the Europe. There was nothing to import to China from the Europe. There was nothing to import to China from Europe. As a result, the European traders suffered a great loss because the China exported such items like silk, tea, and earthenware to Europe. There was nothing to import to China. That leads to a great loss to the traders of the European. So, as a remedy for this loss, the British traders imported opium. They are imported opium, the product opium, to China. It is an intoxicant. Opium is an intoxicant. That is, ഇതൊരു എന്താണ് ലഹരി വസ്തുവാണ്. ഓപ്പിയം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ലഹരി വസ്തു, കറുപ്പ് എന്ന് പറയും, കറുപ്പ്. And the British traders imported opium to the China. It is an intoxicant. This affected Chinese trade because the consumption of this opium made the Chinese people in mentally imbalanced. The using of opium, the people of the China they has consumed more opium. So Britishers imported more opium to China. The consumption of opium, the people of the China, that leads to the mentally imbalanced. The over consumption, it leads to the mentally imbalance of the Chinese people, and it affected the pride of the China, and as a result, economic and mental subjugation of these Chinese. This is opium trade. Opium trade, it means the products like silk, tea, earthenware were the great demand all over the Europe, and it is the demand all over the Europe. As a result, China exported these items to Europe and China gained a big profit. But the Europeans, that did not have any product to import to China. That leads to the great loss in the European traders. As a solution for this loss, the Europeans began to import the opium to China. Opium, it is an intoxicant. It leads to the overconsumption or overconsume of the people of the China by in the product opium. It leads to the mental imbalancing and mental subjugation, and it also leads to the Chinese trade. The economy that leads to the downward of economy. It was the opium trade policy in the European implemented in the China. Okay. The next policy, it was the open door policy, and it was implemented by America in China. Okay, now look up the major points in the open door policy. Okay, first point, by the end of the 19th century, several European countries acquired trade privilege in China. That means some European countries, they are domination over China in the trade. But America could not acquire the privilege at that time. America, they could not dominate or domination. They could not domination over the China. To acquire the privilege, John Hay, then the State Secretary of USA, they proclaimed the open door policy. Okay, it was the important thing. The open door policy, it was introduced by the John Hay. Then the State Secretary of USA, they introduced the policy. That means the policy, it was the America argued for equal rights and opportunities for all countries in Chinese market. America argued for equal rights and opportunities for all countries in a Chinese market. It was the open door policy. It was introduced by the John Hay, then the State Secretary of USA. And the aim of the policy, what is the aim of the open door policy was to create an opportunity for USA or America to interfere in China. That was the aim of the policy. So this was the open door policy. The total conclusion, the America did not get a privilege in trade between the China, and America introduced the policy, open door policy. It was introduced by the John Hay, the State Secretary of USA, and the main aim of the policy, it was to create an opportunity for USA to interfere in China. This is the open door policy. Okay. Now look up the next important thing happened in the Chinese Revolution. That was Boxer Rebellion. It is a forward step taken by the people of the Chinese, and it is a rebellion. That means the rebellion's name, it was the Boxer Rebellion. Okay, now look up the what is a Boxer Rebellion. We know that the end of the 19th century, the China began under the rulers, the Manchu dynasty. So the Manchu dynasty in China favored the foreign interference and domination. The Manchu dynasty, they are helped the foreign countries to interference in the China and their domination. They helped, Manchu dynasty helped, or Manchu dynasty favored for these foreign rules. Okay, some of the organization in China revolted against in 1900s. Some of the secret organization against the Manchu dynasty. So some secret organization in China revolted against it in the 1900s. The emblem of this organization, the secret organization, the emblem of this organization was the Boxer's fist. What was the emblem of the secret organization? It was the Boxer's fist. That means Boxer's fist, it was the Boxer's fist. That means the കൈമുഷ്ടി. ഓക്കെ, ബോക്സർമാരുടെ ബോക്സിംഗ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ആളുകളുടെ കൈമുഷ്ടിക്കാണ് എന്ത് ബോക്സേഴ്സ് ഫിസ്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറയാം. ഓക്കെ, there was the boxers fist. So this rebellion is known as Boxer Rebellion. So this rebellion is known as Boxer Rebellion. Though it was failure, the Boxer Rebellion, it was failure, but it stimulated the later revolutions that came up in later. So the Boxer Rebellion, it was failure. It was failure, but it was motivated. It was stimulated in the later revolutions happened in the Chinese. Okay, this was the Boxer Rebellion. After the Boxer Rebellion, we know that the Boxer Rebellion is a failure. After the Boxer Rebellion, some of the revolutionists, it was the Dr. Sun Yat-sen, he was a revolutionist against the Manchu dynasties. So in 1911, Dr. Sun Yat-sen led a revolution against the Manchu dynasty. By the they are we know that Manchu dynasty is a monarchical rulers. So this ended the revolution, ended the monarchy in China. So the revolution, it is won by the Dr. Sun Yat-sen. So this ended monarchy in China. So the Sun Yat-sen, they established a party, a political party, the Kuomintang Party established. Okay, name of the party, it was the Kuomintang Party. The Kuomintang Party established and it came a republican government in China under the leadership of Dr. Sun Yat-sen. Okay, there in 1911, Dr. Sun Yat-sen led a revolution against the Manchu dynasty, and this ended monarchy in China, and they established a party, political party. The name of the political party, it was the Kuomintang Party, and came and then again came a republican government in China under the leadership of Dr. Sun Yat-sen. Okay, Sun Yat-sen gave the importance the ideologies like nationalism, democracy, and socialism. They gave the ideologies like the nationalism and democracy and socialism. These are the points under the Dr. Sun Yat-sen. Okay, look up the administrational reforms taken by the Kuomintang government. Okay, what are the administration reforms that taken by the Kuomintang government under the leadership of Sun Yat-sen? Okay, decided to cancel the unjust treaties signed with the foreign countries. They decided, the Kuomintang Party or the Kuomintang government decided to abolish the unjust treaties signed with the foreign countries, and also they wanted to maintain an equality with Western countries. They wanted to equality between the Western countries and adopted some of the measures for the progress of agricultural and industry. They adopted some measures for the progress of agriculture and industry, and also at this time, the Kuomintang government time, the China received some assistance from the Russia. We know that previous revolution happened in the Russia, and they also get some assistance from the Russia. These are the some of the administration reforms taken by the Kuomintang government. Okay, we know that the Kuomintang Party as established by the Dr. Sun Yat-sen. We know that after the Sun Yat-sen, he became the leader of the Chinese Republic. And at that time, another party was formed. The name of the another party, it was the Chinese Communist Party. At the starting time, it was cooperated with the Kuomintang Party. It was cooperated with the Kuomintang Party. Okay, after the death of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, the Kuomintang Party is under of the Chiang Kai-shek. He was another leader of Kuomintang Party. Okay, Chiang Kai-shek was another leader of Kuomintang Party following the Dr. Sun Yat-sen. Okay, now look up some of the administration of Chiang Kai-shek. Okay, Chiang Kai-shek became the head of the republic following the death of Dr. Sun Yat-sen. After death of Sun Yat-sen, Chiang Kai-shek became the head of the Chinese Republic, and he did not cooperate with the Chinese Communist Party. They did not cooperate the Chinese Communist Party, the communist. They did not cooperate with the communist, and he started a military autocracy in China. The Chiang Kai-shek started a military autocracy in China, and also he gave an opportunity to the European countries and the America, he gave an opportunity to freely interfere in China. And also at the time of the Chiang Kai-shek, the coal and iron industries and the banking sectors and some of the foreign trade sectors all are in the hand of foreign traders. All are in the hand of foreign traders. These are the administration taken by the Chiang Kai-shek. We know that who is Chiang Kai-shek. Chiang Kai-shek is the Kuomintang party leader after the death of Dr. Sun Yat-sen. After the death of Sun Yat-sen, and also he started a military power or military autocracy in China, and he also give opportunity in the foreign powers including America to freely interfere in China, and he did not cooperate with the communist. That means the Chinese Communist Party. They did not. Chiang Kai-shek did not cooperate with the communists. And the time of Chiang Kai-shek, the coal and iron industries, banking sector, and the foreign trade sector all are controlled by the foreign companies. These are the main administration in the Chiang Kai-shek. In Chinese Revolution, the important event, it was the Long March, happened in 1934. In Chinese Revolution, it is an important march. It was an important event that was happened in 1934, the Long March. Okay, now look up the Long March. Before that, we previously discussed the Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese Communist Party. The leader of the Chinese Communist Party, it was Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong, who was the founder of Mao. Okay, Mao Zedong. Okay, now look up the what is Long March. The communists, the Chinese Communist Party, they protested against the administration or the policies of Chiang Kai-shek, the ruler of the or the head of the Kuomintang party, and he was now the head of the Republican China. And the Communist Party, they protested against the policy of Chiang Kai-shek. We previously discussed the policies of Chiang Kai-shek. Okay, the Communist Party protested against the policy of Chiang Kai-shek. We know that they were a military autocracy in China. The Chiang Kai-shek was going to a military autocracy in China. The military power, they were suppressed, or they were brutally suppressed the Communist Party. Chiang Kai-shek brutally suppressed the Communist Party. At that time, the Mao Zedong was the leader of the Communist Party. Mao Zedong was the leader of the Communist Party, and he started against the Chiang Kai-shek, and he started a journey from the Jiangxi in South China in 1934. He started a journey. The Communist Party, the Chinese Communist Party started a journey from the Jiangxi in South China in 1934, and it ended in the Yan'an in northwestern China. It ended in the Yan'an, northwestern China. Okay. Throughout the journey, they seized out some of the agricultural land and villages from the lords, and it is distributed to farmers. Throughout the journey from the Jiangxi to Yan'an, through the journey, they seized out the agricultural land and villages from lords, and it is distributed to farmers. The journey covered around the 12,000 kilometers. The journey covered around the 12,000 kilometers. So this is known as a long march. Okay, now what is Long March? Long March, we know that the Communist Party protested against the Chiang Kai-shek, but the Chiang Kai-shek suppressed the brutally, and at that time Mao Zedong was the leader of the Communist Party, and under the leadership of Mao Zedong, a journey started from the Jiangxi in South China in 1934, and it ended Yan'an in northwestern China. Okay, they seized out agricultural land and villages from the lords, and it is distributed among the farmers. And the journey covered around the 12,000 kilometers. So it is known as a long march, and it happened in 1934. It happened in the 1934. Okay, it is known as Long March. After the Long March, the Chinese Communist Party, the Red Army of Mao Zedong captured the Kuomintang rule. They captured the Kuomintang rule, and the ruler of Kuomintang, that was Chiang Kai-shek, had to seek political asylum in Taiwan. They ran away to Thailand. After that, the China became the People's Republic of China on 1st October 1949. Okay, the China became the People's Republic of China on 1st October 1949 under the leadership of Mao Zedong. It was the Chinese Revolution. Okay, the China, it was became the republic in 1st October 1949, the People's Republic of China under the leadership of Mao Zedong. Okay.